If this episode makes you think, please let us know in the comments and support us by subscribing and leaving a review. Thank you. Today we are exploring Randi Weingarten's argument about what children need to thrive in an AI economy. In a charter interview published by Time, titled What Kids Need to Thrive in an AI Economy, the president of the American Federation of Teachers calls for student-facing AI tools to be banned in elementary schools, while expecting around 100,000 more teachers to receive AI training this year through the National Academy for AI Instruction. That combination caught my attention. Restrict the technology for younger children, but invest heavily in the adults who will eventually help them use it. The Randi Weingarten AI position is more nuanced than either ban it or embrace it, although the headline argument leaves some difficult practical questions unresolved. The interview followed a speech Weingarten gave at the National Press Club earlier in the summer. She argued that artificial intelligence is creating major disruption and that students are already experiencing it. Her concern is that introducing AI too early could cause children to offload the very thinking they need to develop. She compares this with the impact of screens on attention, cognition, and persistence, pointing to measures taken by school systems, including the Los Angeles Unified School District, to reduce screen exposure among younger pupils. I think the underlying concern is credible. Productive struggle matters. A child learns to form a sentence by wrestling with words, not by selecting the smoothest sentence from 3 generated options. They develop number sense by noticing patterns and making mistakes. They learn persistence partly through the experience of not knowing what to do next. If ChatGPT removes that experience before foundational knowledge has formed, the child may produce something that looks competent without becoming more competent. That's cognitive debt. The work appears to have been completed, but the thinking that should have supported future learning never happened. Still, this source is an edited interview, not a research study. It tells us what Weingarten believes and what the American Federation of Teachers is advocating. It doesn't establish the age at which AI becomes educationally appropriate, nor does it demonstrate that every student-facing AI tool has the same effects. That distinction matters. What counts as student-facing AI? Is it a chatbot writing a story for a 7-year-old? A reading application adapting the difficulty of a text? Speech-to-text support for a child with a physical disability? Translation for a newly arrived multilingual learner? Those are very different uses, even if artificial intelligence sits somewhere underneath them. A blanket ban is administratively attractive because it creates a clear boundary. Clear boundaries can be useful, but they can also hide weak definitions. In AI, in education policy, the wording has to survive contact with a real classroom, where accessibility, safeguarding, curriculum, and individual need meet. Consider a hypothetical Year 4 pupil who has strong ideas but finds handwriting physically exhausting. If an approved tool helps that pupil capture their own spoken thinking, are we offloading cognition or removing an unnecessary barrier? The answer depends on the educational purpose. That's why I'd be more comfortable with a tightly controlled, developmentally informed policy than a prohibition based simply on whether AI is present. Weingarten's stronger point for me concerns the capabilities students will need later. She names critical thinking, context, fact-check, and oral and written communication, persistence, and the ability to work with others. These aren't shiny new AI skills for students. They're established human capabilities that become more valuable when fluent but unreliable machines are everywhere. By junior high or high school, she argues, students should learn to use AI under a teacher's guidance, including how to recognize misinformation and disinformation. I agree, but learning to use AI needs careful definition. Showing students where to type a prompt is a very low bar. AI literacy means asking what the system knows, what it may be inventing, whose perspective is missing, and how its response has influenced your own thinking. Suppose a Year 8 geography class asks ChatGPT to explain why a local area is vulnerable to flooding. The meaningful learning doesn't come from receiving the explanation. It comes when students compare that output with rainfall data, maps, planning decisions, and their knowledge of the locality. The real value is not in what the machine produces, but in how the student responds. If you value this sort of practical analysis of AI in education, follow or subscribe for more episodes on classroom practice, school strategy, and public policy. The teacher training commitment may be the most significant part of the interview. According to Weingarten, around 14,000 teachers attended the National Academy for AI Instruction last year, with roughly 100,000 more expected this year. The Academy's peer-led model is based on educators teaching other educators. That's sensible because professional trust matters. Teachers are more likely to test a practice when it's demonstrated by someone who understands marking loads, mixed attainment classes, and the pressure of getting through a curriculum. A polished technology demonstration rarely contains a child who has forgotten their password, a filtering system blocking the website, or a lesson that has 5 minutes left. But participation numbers alone won't tell us whether the program works. I'd want to know what teachers do differently afterwards, whether workload improves, whether student thinking becomes stronger, and whether confidence lasts beyond the training session. 100,000 registrations may look impressive in an announcement. Sustainable practice requires protected time, approved tools, technical support, clear safeguarding rules, and school leaders who know what success looks like. The unions have a legitimate role here. The American Federation of Teachers can press for professional development, transparency, and worker voice, rather than allowing AI procurement to be done to teachers. Charter also points readers towards the broader work of the AFL-CIO and its president, Liz Schuler, on bargaining around workplace AI. There's a tension, though. Unions need to protect members from harmful deployment without making professional protection synonymous with technological delay. Governments face the mirror image of that risk. They may fund an academy, announce a partnership, and mistake activity for capacity. Effective policy needs teachers involved before tools are purchased, not invited in after decisions have been made. School leaders should apply the same discipline. Start with why, not how. A department head planning professional development might choose one existing problem, such as helping students evaluate weak evidence, and explore where AI can create better opportunities for critique. That's more useful than running a general session containing 20 tools nobody has time to practice. Near the close, the Randi Weingarten AI argument leaves me holding two ideas together. Young children need protected space to build attention, knowledge, and persistence. They also need an education system preparing carefully for the tools they'll encounter later. Timing matters, but so do purpose, design, and adult judgment. Keep AI away from the thinking children must learn to do, and bring it into the thinking they must learn to challenge. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.